Hi, it's Ellen. We talk a lot about achieving success and what it takes to achieve success. We talk about things like having a vision statement and the importance of using a vision statement so that we can do what we want to do. But most people don't really know how to put it all together. My mom had a secret 8-word phrase that helped me do this all the time. It's so simple that you don't even think about it. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I was raised in a family where I wasn't allowed to whine about things. I couldn't complain unless I had a proposed solution, and I couldn't even say what my proposed solution was unless I was prepared to implement it. So here's an example. I was 12 years old. My older brother had newspaper route. Back in those days, mostly little boys delivered newspapers from the backs of their bicycles, and it was a way that kids could earn some extra money, but also learn how to run a business, because they in fact did have an entire business. They were responsible for purchasing the newspapers from the newspaper company, for delivering, for collecting the money from people, and for paying the newspaper back the next week. So you had all the aspects of things that go into a business, and it was a really good experience and a really good thing to do. My older brother had a newspaper route. I wanted newspaper route, but this was back in the mid 1970s, and the newspaper didn't have to employ little girls. The job was newsboy, and they didn't hire girls. And I was upset about it. I was complaining, I was whining, and my mom said to me, her magic 8-word phrase, "So what are you going to do about it?" So here I am, 12 years old. What do you think a 12-year-old would do in that kind of a situation? Some kids would say, well, maybe I'll write to my congressman and get the law changed. Maybe some other kids would just pout. Me, what did I do? Well, I knew that my brother's best friend, who had a newspaper route, was thinking about giving up his route. So I approached him and asked him if I could subcontract his route from him. He said okay. And the crazy thing is that the newspaper knew I was doing this. They knew exactly what was going on, and they didn't care because it wasn't my name that was on the route. They just had to have a boy's name on the route. I did this with my parents' permission, my parents' support. My mom was like, great idea. If you feel up to it, do it. And if it doesn't work out, you'll turn it back. I had the route for a number of years. But while I had the route, the law changed, and suddenly the job wasn't newsboy. The job was newspaper carrier. The following Saturday, I marched myself down to the newspaper and I said, now you can put my name on this route. And they said, okay, Ellen, and they did. But it's the transformative. What are you going to do about it? Because if you just sit around and complain, nothing's going to change. Let me give you another example. I went to a really competitive public high school, and I was an okay student. I really was, but I was not at the top of my class. However, I really wanted to go to Cornell University. And I was, I think, the last person in the top 20% of my high school class. And even though my grades were good, they weren't that good. Certainly were not Ivy League material. I, on the other hand, said, well, those are median scores when they talk about SAT scores and they talk about GPAs. And with a median, you've got half the people who are above it and half the people who are below it. So I still have a shot. I had a lot of extracurricular activities. I was very well-rounded. But when I was talking about all of this, my mom said to me, what you want to do is something that's very ambitious and something that, quite frankly, your grades don't really warrant. So what are you going to do about it? And I thought about it, and I did a little bit of research. I discovered that Cornell had a summer program for students in between their junior and senior years of high school. And I asked my parents if I could go. They said, okay. I went, I took 2 classes, and my thought was, if I worked really hard and did well, the university would see that I could carry the workload. And I thought to myself, and I said to my mom, I said, they really probably, I think probably, just use grades and SATs as an indicator of how well you can succeed with their materials. So if I take their coursework and I show them that I can succeed, then they'll know me and they'll know that I can be successful. And the converse to that is that if I couldn't be successful, then I wouldn't even need to apply. So I went and I took the summer classes. I took 2 classes, had a great time, met some fabulous people, many of whom I'm still friends with and still know, did well, and lo and behold, I got into Cornell. It's that transformative piece. It's the what are you going to do about it? How are you going to take action? A number of years ago, my business was going through a lull and we were not doing that well. It was during the Great Recession about 15 years ago. And my gardener was not doing a very good job. And I got really upset. And I said to my husband, Bill, I said, you know what? We're paying way too much money for somebody who's doing just as bad a job as I could be doing. And he looked at me and he said, so what are you going to do about it? He'd been hanging around with my mom, I think. And what I did was I fired the gardener. I went out, I bought a push lawnmower, and I started doing the yard myself because I said, we can save this money. I don't need to be spending money that we don't have on something that we don't really need. And there again, it's the same thing. It's what are you going to do? Think about something that you would like to change, something that you'd like to see. Just picture it in your mind. What have you been complaining about? Okay. And then you ask yourself, what are you going to do? If you had a magic wand, if you could wave a magic wand and all of a sudden what you're thinking about that needs to happen happens so that you can be achieving your vision, what is it? What would you like to see? So now, what are you going to do about it? Think about it. You can put this into practice. I know you can. And it really makes a difference. In an upcoming video, we're going to talk about SMART goals. And SMART goals are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. When you have a SMART goal, when I knew I had to apply for college by a certain date, and I had a time frame in which to do things, when I knew I needed to save money on my household expenses within a certain time frame, with something that was realistic, I could do a lawnmower. I could mow the lawn myself. You don't have to have these grand visions and grand plans to be able to affect positive change and move yourself forward. I hope you've enjoyed this tip. Please leave your thoughts and some comments in the comment box and subscribe and like the video. Thanks. Until next time, I'm Ellen Spiegel.